promised, we are going to allow you to just tell us briefly some of the things we didn't cover about yourself. And Saga, I'd like to start with you.
You did a pretty good job covering things there. A few little things that I guess people have been asking me about. They've been asking me about what is my business experience. I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. I was a semi-finalist in the largest statewide business competition in America. I've done a lot of different things business-wise. I've invented products. I pioneered merchandising in the state of Florida, wow, back in the 80s. I pioneered platelet-rich plasma treatments up in Minneapolis starting in 2014. And I've created a product. I've taken everything from creating the product all the way up to negotiating the sale of that product to Johnson & Johnson. And there was a lot in between there. So as far as business stuff, that's what I've done business-wise. As far as my background, a little bit of background. When I was with Up With People, I learned a lot about different cultures coming together. And this is where I really think one of my strengths is for the city of Lakeland, is that Lakeland is very unique. And of course, I grew up here, and Lakeland's always been my home. We've been coming back. Even though I've lived other places, my heart's always been here. And I think one of the things that makes me uniquely qualified to run the city of Lakeland is the fact right now in these critical times that are happening nationwide that there's a lot of division out there. I think that what I learned in Up With People and dealing with different cultures, different people, is how to bring people together and different things to do. I think a strong leader, whatever attitude you have, drips down on the people. And I believe in equal opportunity for all and championing each person's culture, which is great. It's a hard thing. I like to find, where do we come together? What's the point of coming together? And then from there grow out. What we all have in common, we're all Lakelanders, and we're all Americans. So I think we start there and grow out from there, giving everybody equal opportunities, and I think that'll be a really good place for Lakeland to start and grow going forward.
All right, Saga, thank you so very much. And that lovely sound you just heard, I'd like to think is going to be the buzzer tonight. If you do happen to go over, I believe you are going to be hearing that. So the aim tonight is not to hear that buzzer. Are we good on that, everyone?
1 second, let me stop the buzzer.
Oh, so it was.
Yeah, it was time. I just need to stop the buzzer.
All right, Mayor Mutz.
It's been a privilege for me. When we moved here in 1996, our downtown was pretty lackluster, and even when I was considering buying a business here, it was not something that was super engaging to me when I looked at it. And I remember staring out at Munn Park and seeing a lot of boarded businesses. It's been wonderful to be part of a city that has had some pretty phenomenal growth and built upon the wonderful philanthropic examples of some of the large company donors that have helped us propel at a rate other cities our size would not have. When I was able to become involved in the boards of the city and to not only learn some of the not-for-profit sides of the services rendered to the city across the community, but also to work with LEDC for a dozen years and to be chairman of that organization for a period of time of 4 years, 2 on the high skill side and 2 on the LEDC side as well. And then to work with the hospital and for a dozen years and to be chairman of that for 2 years following. It was a wonderful opportunity for me to be able to start to engage in some of the many, many difficult complexities that exist. At the same time, it allowed me to get to know our community broadly and to work on the things that could help through collaboration and growth accelerate some of the things we were able to accomplish. So I have, while we were doing that, we were of course running a business, and it was a large company. We would sell, my business was Lakeland, Ford, Mazda, and Hyundai, and at one point in time, Isuzu. And so we would sell somewhere around 4,500 to 5,000 units a year, which is $100 million, 180 employees. So I had that piece going on anyway in terms of the business demands and skills, which I really enjoyed. But I also loved being able to serve the city.
There you go. He's very much acquainted, ladies and gentlemen, with that sound, as you can tell. We're going to move into the question and answer portion. And so each of your campaigns has a distinctive motto. For you, Mayor Mutz, it's I'm still all in for all of Lakeland. For Saga, it's keep Lakeland, Lakeland. Would you each comment about what your motto says about you and what your opponent's motto says about them? And Mayor Mutz, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, well, from the standpoint of running the first time, it was I'm all in for all of Lakeland. And so that was important because what we wanted to really emphasize out of the gate was honoring everyone. And honoring everyone has been a long time personal goal of mine. That's why I can take the 4 years that we have served and take a look at what has been produced by our commission and say this is evidence of how we have honored all citizens across the community.
Recording in progress.
And very demonstratively. When I'm running for the second term, it's just a reemphasis. I'm still all in for all of Lakeland. So part of what we have seen accomplished, we've done very, very difficult and courageous decision-making along the way that was not easy and represented minority interests where it was necessary and required, for which I have zero regrets, and I'm very grateful for. We're a growing city. We're a city that has a lot of momentum. I've worked with a lot of businesses that we have brought here along the way. Keeping Lakeland, Lakeland, my criticism of that would be we aren't who we were, we're not who we stay. We are going to grow and continue to be a place that has to have additional jobs, additional housing, and much infrastructure support along the way, and I thrive on the development of those things.
Thank you very much. And Saga, Stephen, if you would, same question. Would you like me to repeat or you have it?
I think I got it.
All right.
All right, so keep Lakeland, Lakeland. What I mean by that is Lakeland is a very unique community. It always has been. What I mean by keep Lakeland, Lakeland is to keep the heart and soul of Lakeland, keep the heritage that made Lakeland, Lakeland. Lakeland is based on strong conservative values. It's based on a commitment to family. It's based on a commitment to community. That's what makes Lakeland, Lakeland. We're a very unique community. We're not a Tampa, we're not an Orlando. So keep Lakeland, Lakeland as in the heart and soul of the community, one community honoring the different cultures. Yes, we have to grow. We can still grow and not strive to be a Tampa, Orlando, Sarasota. Keep Lakeland, Lakeland is in keep what makes Lakeland the charm here, the history here, and with that, as we grow, honor our history, honor our charm, honor our culture, and hold that sacred as we grow. In addition, Lakeland used to have the absolute coveted police department, which right now we're kind of lacking in that. So that's why I would support our police department and our fire departments, and also why they support me, because that's part of Lakeland's charm, is to know that we are a safe community. All the neighborhoods are safe, everybody's safe here, our public safety, and it's a good place to raise a family, to grow businesses. The safer the community, the better businesses you're going to have here. As far as all in for all Lakeland, you're all in for all Lakeland, part 2. I don't have any criticisms about it. That's great. So keep Lakeland, Lakeland.
I'm going to allow you to, thank you so much. I'm going to allow you to keep the microphone as we go to question number 2. So what have you done that shows your level of civic engagement in the communities where you've lived?
One of the biggest things I've done, I suppose, is probably when I am on a board, I put a lot of time and heart and commitment into that board. I choose only a very, very few because I respect their time and they have me there for a reason. I've been on the board of directors for Citizen Council for Health Freedom for several years. That organization is a legislative organization. We've been fighting for our health freedoms. They've been around since 1998, I believe, fighting for health freedoms. Our health freedoms are very, very much under attack. Right now, the healthcare system is basically a one-size-fits-all. We're fighting to keep it where it's privately between you and your doctor. Another passion of mine is with education. When I was in Minnesota, I was mentoring We would go in through Rotary and mentor the students there at one of the roughest high schools that had armed guards around. We would take the underprivileged children and mentor them up, every single one of them up their grade point averages, and it was wonderful to see, which is why now in Lakeland I'm part of the Polk Education Foundation, so I can continue my passion with that. But as far as health freedoms and education, and then of course public safety, I've always honored all of the first responders, the men and women that have fought for our freedoms across the board.
Thank you so much. Mayor Mutz, the same question. What have you done that shows your level of civic engagement in the communities where you've lived?
I've tried to be able to spend my time in different disciplines that impact lives, and that's primarily what drives me to participate on any board. So certainly with our health care issues, that was the hospital board. With elderly, that's VISTI. With education, it has been serving on Southeastern University, Florida Southern College, and Lakeland Christian Schools board of directors. And education is hugely important to us as a community and as we grow. And on the business board basis, being able to work alongside the banking industry and in a security business for locks was a big portion of that as well. When I think about the need to be able to serve in a city, you want to come across different disciplines to be able to understand the integrated complexities between those arenas and to be able to utilize your business skills in a way that's practical. My personal skill set is probably best appreciated in a board scenario because I'm a collaborator. So I can bring disparate voices together, find centered solutions, and pursue getting those things accomplished and done. And that's probably what I have done best in most cases. At some point in time, I've been chairman of those boards.
Yeah. Already we've talked quite a bit about growth in the city of Lakeland. And LkldNow, we often report news about new projects in town. Some examples are new downtown structures such as the Summit Building on Lake Merrill, a new subdivision in Southwest Lakeland, and large new warehouses. Quite often the Facebook comments about these articles show a stark division between those who welcome the growth as a sign of economic vibrance and those who worry that Lakeland is losing its small town charm. You mentioned that earlier, Saga. What's your attitude of growth versus small town charm, Mayor Mutz?
We have to continue to grow. You can't be in the number 2 spot in the country in terms of economic growth and not have to do it wisely. And so we will not be who we have been in terms of density downtown. We'll probably have about 8,500 people living downtown within the next decade. And we'll have more jobs based downtown, and we will have more buildings downtown to support that density. But that's what vibrant cities do. And I think if you're threatened by that as an individual, and I understand that it's nice to remember that day, the old days, go to Greenville, South Carolina. To me, that is probably one of the most closely paralleled and aligned cities in terms of what was 20 years ago and what they have become. And Greenville's charm is at an apex level today, not at a lesser level, and people love going there, and that's part of the touring with Charleston and Savannah as a stop along the way because of the fact they've done that footprint well. So it's livable, walkable, trail-based, unique bridges that help you enjoy some of the visible amenities in the city, and then housing both in the affordable housing, workforce housing, and market-priced housing arenas that make it an excellent mix.
Saga, we would love to hear your response to the very same question.
All right, yes. Well, I know that Lakeland had been through a period prior to where there was a huge warehouse growth. And I don't think the Lakeland or Lakelanders want to be the warehouse capital of the world. As far as the density and the growth, I think, again, we need to perhaps slow it down a little bit. I think it's going a little bit too fast for the Lakelanders that are here. I know that the elderly population is very concerned about different zoning happening in their neighborhoods. They're feeling pushed out. A lot of the people that are born and raised here are feeling disenfranchised. And yes, they can go to other cities. That's great. Again, in keeping the charm and keeping with what's here, for instance, the zoning changes. It's like the people at Carillon. They bought into that. They have a nice community. It was zoned for one thing over here, and all of a sudden the zoning changes, and now there's going to be a huge complex is proposed there. They're going through a lot of changes with that. As far as our affordable housing goes, I know that it works with federal grants, and the people, the developers come in, squeeze these grants, squeeze them, in general, they do less quality housing and they take the money and run. I would like to just slow that down a little bit, not squeeze so much for the federal dollars. Lakelanders deserve better. We deserve a better quality housing as we grow. As we grow also, because we're growing so fast, we do need more police and fire to make sure that everybody is safe in their neighborhoods at all times.
Saga, I'd like to just party on that since we are talking about housing. We keep seeing new subdivisions and apartments being built, but we also keep hearing that Lakeland does not have sufficient housing for people of all income levels. So the question, what should the city do to ensure affordable housing for all economic sectors?
That's a very good question. I noticed that there's a lot of infields. Are you all familiar with what infields are? The city's owns a lot of infields. Why aren't those being more put out to different builders, different whatever, to build single-family homes? There's a lot of different things, different pockets within the city that are not having so much attention paid. There's a lot of attention paid to downtown and bringing in the density to downtown. And I just don't know that it's all that affordable in reality because the rents are kind of high. And I think, again, it goes back to you have to honor the people where they are. We went and met with a gentleman and his wife that are living on $1,200 a month. They're not getting any help in the area that they live in. So it's a difficult proposition. There's no one red stamp answer for everything. And different people need to be able to come to the table. I think we need to slow the zoning down to give the people, the citizens here, time to catch up, time to catch a breath, time to really dig in and dive into what does this mean in the long term? What are the long-term effects? How is this going to affect me? How is this going to affect my neighborhood? How is this going to affect my life? So I think we need to slow down and take it one step at a time instead of being pushed so fast.
Thank you so much. And so Mayor Mutt's opposing views, I would say, because Saga is into slowing things down. You are forecasting additional growth as we move into the coming years. So the question then, how do we approach or broach affordable housing?
So we're probably about 5,000 housing units short in Lakeland right now today that we could put people in if those units existed. Our commission has taken just the opposite position. We took the 63 infill lots that we offered to be able to be bid on by builders and that the city owned out of 77 and made those available immediately and had those purchased by various builders across the city to seize those properties. We're working on round number 2 in the process of that to try and create more value next door where those individual lots exist. But on the affordable housing side, where we had a very slow pace in that process, we've had 500 units built in this last 4 years, with 823 scheduled to be built. And when we did the partnerships with the public-private partners on those, and now are much more attracted from other builders from other cities to continue to do more of those projects, we created amenities in these units that are unlike lots of apartment complexes, which include business centers and rooms for them to be able to meet, and art in the courtyard areas. And so I couldn't be more pleased with the quality of affordable housing that we have been able to partner alongside and develop, and will continue to. And I continue to get calls for the next phases. So some of the people that are finishing phase 1 are now interested in working on phase 2. And that sends a strong message too, because Lakeland hasn't been on their map.
Okay, thank you so much. It is possibly something we'll be talking about for quite some time. And although it is not the most pleasant part of our history, it very much is a part of our history, a part of our present, and I'm making reference here to COVID-19. And so the question, did the city of Lakeland, and Mayor Matsai, I'm going to start with you, did the city of Lakeland respond responsibly to keep citizens safe from the spread of COVID-19? What should or should not have happened? And should Lakeland have joined other Central Florida cities that pushed back against Governor DeSantis' order this year restricting local governments from enacting restrictions?
So I think, this is an important thing to go and rewind back into where it began, which is March of 2020 or 2019, where we watched new phenomena occur in a healthcare pandemic basis that none of us had been schooled to do before. And as we watched that occur, we also realized that we were going to have to engage some kinds of protocols. And we all learned this together. We were all watching this in the news together as we went along. And we reached a crisis level and proportion. And we created an index above 10% that we would become more engaged if there was that positivity rate in terms of steps to be taken. And then as a city, we masked early. Then we immediately went to the business sector through the chamber and through LEDC to be able, and other entities across the city, to have input on how do we keep businesses growing and identify their masking levels in that process. Mandating for our commission anything is not the nature of what our commission prefers to do, but being as drastic as necessary when it involves community health and abates the spread becomes something that we have to take a hard look. And I think we did that well. I think we went through that process well. We've all learned a lot, and we backed off of it before the governor mandate to back off occurred. And that's also an indication of how conscientiously the commission really valued the opinion of people.
Thank you so much. Saga, you were on looker as to what city leaders were doing, and so the question posed to you is the same. Did they do enough, too much, and the response to the governor when it comes to not enacting certain things?
I think the governor was spot on in a lot of ways. The people that he was listening to were very valid scientists. My understanding is we still have mask mandates here in the city. The downtown city has mandates, and I know that the police station, then that, if not, that recently changed because I was in there the other day and they said you still had to wear a mask. And I believe you said that it was a city attorney that to him. Oh, yesterday it ended. Okay, so I was a day off. Thank you for correcting me. It just ended yesterday. I think closing parks where people could be outside in the fresh air and walk around was a disaster. To me, it's just common sense. Fresh air and exercise is healthy. The best thing you could do is keep your immune system healthy. From day one, this was known as, okay, there's a 99%, and I hate to use percentages because somebody somewhere will split hairs with me. I was working at a medical clinic at that time. What they told us was take your vitamin C, take your vitamin D, do this, that, and the other. Keep breathing fresh air, keep getting out there, because how the immune system works is the first thing with your immune system is fresh air. There's a lot of people that have special needs in that every body is different. Masks for some people are deadly. Any kind of inoculation for some people causes anaphylaxis and can cause shock. I get it was an unknown. I also think that a lot of things should have been looked at. I think Governor DeSantis did a great job. And I think other states that had no mandates and allowed people to have their freedoms, if you want to make the choice to mask up, if not, don't.
All right, thank you so much. We're moving on to transportation alternatives. And so the question is enough being done to make the city walkable and bicycle friendly? If not, would you advocate moving dollars out of other operations to improve sidewalks and add bike lanes? And Saga?
It's very interesting. Lakeland is a very large city land-wise. I understand everybody wants to go to the 15-minute walkable city. I don't think that's practical. There's a lot of farmers that live here. There's a lot of workers that live here. There's a lot of people that live on land that have animals. I don't think if you concentrate everything on making one area walkable, it serves the needs of all the people. Should we have walkable? Yes. With a lot of the things that they're doing, you're actually eliminating a large group of people. The 15-minute walkable city, it's a good concept. However, the denser a city becomes, and you see this in any city that has pushed for density, it actually leads to less affordable housing. It sounds kind of strange, but if you dive into it, that's what it is. A walkable city, yes, that would be great. However, I don't think we need to put a tax on how many miles we drive because that's going to kill the farmers and the truckers and make everything more expensive. I don't think, again, that we need to focus on that so much as we're focusing so much on downtown. And Lakeland has a large north side, a large south side, east and west. They have things that they need as well. And again, I go back to, as we grow, our police needs to grow, our fire needs to grow, we need new stations. And so that's where I think our focus should be right now.
Mayor Metz, the very same question.
Walkability is really important to not only most citizens, but also especially to our younger citizens. So when we think about livability in a city, we have to think about how do we make it attractive to be able to walk and utilize that city and have a lot of amenities along the way. That's what keeps people wanting to live there and wanting to be there. So we're spending a lot of time on that in terms of where we do the best trails, the best bike paths, and we have to seize those moments when FDOT's dollars are available to do the segments that they want to do. And you can't always coordinate those things well, which is why you'll see that New York bike path in place downtown and you wonder, what's this connect to? We'll wait and see, because it's going to be beautiful once it's all connected. We're not the county, we're the city. We have to make decisions that are city smart, not county smart, and less agricultural and much more in terms of growing businesses in places that people want to live and frequent and walk. And we will have a great connectedness between Bonnet Springs Park and the volunteer statue on Lake Mirror that really makes that entire walk and the businesses along the way super attractive, and it's going to be very, very fun to watch and see as we have it grow.
All right, thank you so very much. We're almost through the set questions that we do have, and I know that there are some questions, Barry, from our audience and that we'd like to get to as well. I do not think there is going to be a break, so just hang with us as we get through these, and we want to continue with sort of transportation or an issue that is really because it affects transportation so much, and South Florida Avenue. I want to talk about South Florida Avenue. As you know, the Florida Department of Transportation will continue collecting data through spring on the South Florida Avenue lane reduction test in Dixieland. Because of that, new information may emerge based on what you know now. Would you vote in favor of recommending that the DOT make the lane reduction permanent? Mayor Mutz?
Well, I think the numbers play the music here. And so that's got to be a big part of what we do know once we have an additional traffic, what we see today. And so that decision will be made by the commission in June of this next year in 2022. Mm-hmm. What we see in traffic today would indicate that it's probably working pretty well. The goal of that lane realignment by Florida Department of Transportation is that people don't use that corridor, that they shift over to other corridors so that they can not use it for going through downtown to go north. And so that's part and parcel of the way that it works. It's reduced accidents overall, and it's shifted the basis of those accidents from side hits with vehicles to rear end hits. And that's primarily caused by people who are being thoughtful and allowing people to come in from a side street and putting their brakes on a little, and then somebody doesn't anticipate the stop. So we need to watch what the numbers say. The time reduction is averaging 70 seconds during the rush hours, which is not a big differentiation. And what the other side of this is it recaptures Dixieland with wider sidewalks, boxed plants, brick corners, and so and then businesses that go back and thrive in that area, and pedestrians that we don't see take place today as we're doing the road diet. So all of those things need to be evaluated. Great news is that that's something that we'll have information on, and the commission can do that.
Thank you so much. And Sandra?
I don't know that it's reduced traffic time through there by 70 seconds. I could be wrong on that. I think it's maybe increased a little bit of time. I do know that the businesses along there have complained about it, that people coming in and out. The most complaints I hear in walking through the neighborhoods is the neighborhoods themselves have gotten a lot more traffic. It's not as safe for the kids to walk out there. It's not as safe for people to walk their dogs out there. There's a lot more traffic going through, a lot more people taking all the little back roads. The other thing that I understand is that, for instance, when a fire or police are coming through, there's not a place for people to scoot over. And that, I think, is a huge problem. I don't think that fire or police should be going down the back streets to try to get somewhere. Right now, the trucks going through, that's a problem. I understand you want them to go on other places. If perhaps the trucks had a discount on the toll road, that might help a lot. However, I don't think that the neighborhoods around there would be like, yay, we have more traffic, let's do this. And I don't think that the businesses along there are like, this is a good thing. again, I'm like, ask the people, because what I've been hearing around there is not very favorable to the road diet.
Yeah, and we will. And if I said reduced, you're absolutely right. It's increased 70 seconds. If I said reduced, I meant increased, and I apologize.
Don't you hate when that happens?
Thank you.
I appreciate you catching it.
All right. Nothing like candidates that get along with each other and even correct each other when there is a mistake. Finally, from our section of the questions for tonight, I'd like to ask about your vision. Saga, I am going to start with you. What is your vision for Lakeland? If you're elected and accomplish your goals, what will Lakeland look like in 10 years?
Oh my goodness, Lakeland is going to be fabulous. Lakeland is going to be one of those places that does hold on to its charm and its heritage and celebrates its culture. I see us having not only a Hispanic festival like we're going to have this weekend, but also we've got a huge Vietnamese population. We've got a huge Italian population. We've got a lot of different heritage. Let's celebrate that. Let's also go back to being a bit of an all-American city. Let's champion our freedoms. Let's know everybody that moves here, rest assured that we will champion your freedoms and your safety. As the town grows, so our police grows, so our fire grows. I think that roads that are put in, whether it's a roundabout, whether it's a road diet, whatever, I think they should be okay. Additionally, by the police and by the fire to make sure that they have easy, quick access for emergencies that come up. We're talking life and death with public safety. I think that Lakeland will be a place between, we have the airport, we have a lot of benefits out there, we have a lot of, Lakeland used to be the place to come for concerts, the place to come for a lot of things. I get that a lot of our stuff right now is tired. The old Civic Center, now the RPO Funding Center is a little tired, and that can be a burden on us as well. So I think if we look at Lakeland more as the citizens are all the stakeholders in Lakeland, give them more of a say, and let's grow honoring them, Lakeland's going to be a wonderful, fabulous city that invites all people from all areas to join us and be Lakelanders.
Thank you so much, Saga. And Mayor Mutz.
We just spent $14 million on RP Funding Center rejuvenating it, so we're very pleased with where it is today as we go forward. But as I look at our city, the first thing I'm going to emphasize is that I really believe 10 years from now, we can become an earmarked city that really spent the time focusing on people excellently and differently, so that we're a city known for honoring everyone. And I believe, as that altruistic as that may sound, it then predicates how we do everything else. And it means that we look in those different people groups and we certainly embody as a city unitedly how we engage with them. And it also means that we protect the interests of those who may not always be represented well. While we build infrastructure, while we as this unity grows, that we have the additional businesses that are attracted here because of the diversity that we unite. The benefit of serving in the city at the city level is that we're nonpartisan in our role. So it means we have to embrace across the spectrum the interests of all citizens. We certainly have put public safety at the top. No one has been more of an advocate on our commission for both the increases in pay for fire and police than I have been with our commission and staff. And the reason public safety has to exist first is because if public safety doesn't exist, the rest of it doesn't matter. And so we do have excellent departments on both sides. Well, that's the kind of continuity we continue.
And Mr.
And we make
Mayor
it an
Mutz.
enjoyable city in which to live.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, we so want to thank you for your patience this evening. As we promised, we had some questions from the audience that we would like to pose, and I'm just going to go right ahead. We're almost done with our evening's proceedings here, and hopefully you're getting a very clear idea of the candidates that you have facing you for the mayoral race. And so I'm going to go with the first question that we do have from an audience member. It says, are you for or against giving City of Lakeland retirees a cost of living adjustment like Social Security does and the City of Tampa does? Why shouldn't Lakeland do the same? Saga?
I think that are they talking about us writing them checks or us giving them incentives? I know that we give a lot of businesses incentives. I think we should give them, they absolutely should be taken care of, whether it's a tax reduction, whether it's some way that we can help them. Because again, the gentleman we spoke with, he and his wife living on $1,200 a month, and they're not getting any attention, and that's really sad. I don't think that it's necessarily totally government's job to take care of people. I think once we merge with and get the churches and different private organizations helping out, there's a lot of organizations there, let's pull everybody together. But I don't know that as far as giving them checks, I don't know that that would be a city thing.
Thank you so very much. Mayor Mutz, the same question.
Fortunately, our employees don't have to rely on a COLA adjustment because that would be in the 2% range, and we are committed to grow our pension plans at a 7.14% range. And so when we do that and we make up the differential in that, that makes that plan on a long-term basis one that provides for them well. And so an additional COLA adjustment, no, because of what we already have embedded in the plans that we have in place.
Thank you very much.
Were you talking about city employees?
I am merely reading a question from the audience, and I can't add, take away, or anything. I'm merely giving it to you like we got it.
It was city employees.
Yeah.
Pardon?
It was about city employees.
City
Oh, I thought you
employees.
said if you're a city employee.
Great. We kind of asked something similar, but I, in honor of the individual who submitted this, I would like to pose this question again. It says, do you support Governor DeSantis's view on mandates in telling companies they cannot require masks, plus fining and taking paychecks away from school districts that disobey his executive orders? And Mayor Mutz, I'd like to start with you.
Well, I really always support the rights of individuals to do what they need to do as an individual and certainly as a business owner. So a business owner making a decision for what they want to do because they bear the risk and because they've made the investment, I think should be able to call their shots. They have to decide who their customer base is, what their employees' status are, and that's going to be part and parcel of what they decide in the process. It's difficult when government starts to dictate to businesses what they can and cannot do. And so my recommendation would be that as we watch the numbers go down, we're going to see there's less of this impetus anyway. But if numbers were rising and a business were involved in some kind of close personal contact, and they want to be able to mandate that as a business owner, I would want to be able to keep the decision to do what I want to do with the business in which I've invested my money and taken all the risk.
Thank you so much. Saga, the very same question.
I am 100% with Governor DeSantis and what he decided to do, which was to preserve our freedoms. I don't think any business should be able to dictate a health plan for you in any way, shape, or form. I don't think government should get in the way. I think healthcare should always be a private thing between you and your doctor. I don't think that businesses should be fined because this opens a very slippery slope. This is not just about this pandemic right now. This is about a lot of other things coming forward. If we go with this, when is it going to stop? It's not. So am I with him, with Governor DeSantis on canceling all that? Absolutely. I do not think that any business should be given any kind of mandate to the employees. And it's kind of like what happened at Watson Clinic. You've got people there dropping themselves on COVID bombs for a year and a half, and all of a sudden you're going to say, okay, if you don't take this inoculation, we're going to fire you. That is wrong on so many levels. It's wrong morally, it's wrong ethically, and it is absolutely hands down wrong for a freedom standpoint. That is not what this country is based on. That was settled with Nuremberg. So as far as any kind of mandate, no, I don't think government should have anything to do with any kind of mandate, and I don't think the government should pay for any kind of mandate either.
The second part of that question, however, though, asked about fining and taking paychecks away from school districts that disobey that executive order.
I agree with that. It seems to be the only way you can get anything to do is money. And if it's like, well, if you're going to disobey this order and you're expecting me to still pay you funds, I'm not going to pay you unless you follow the order.
Okay, thank you so very much. How should the city proceed with the Lakeland Christian School traffic problems through nearby neighborhoods? A questioner says it's private access versus public safety and quality of life. Who do you choose to look out for?
I'll do this one.
Okay. I was going to ask Saga to go first.
I have some awareness of this particular one, certainly. And so we're doing what we ought to do, which is meeting with neighbors, meeting with the residents in that area, getting input from them, and implementing some of the changes that they have recommended, and our traffic people work on it. And that's really the way the city should always work.
You know, when you live near an airport, you know, when you live near a school, you know, when you live near a hospital, that you're going to have ambulance noise, airplane noises, and people going to school. So it's how we minimize those problems and how we work strategically to maximize options. I think that the engagement that's taking place now is making headway in that.
Thank you so much. And so
I know that the neighbors around there, there's some in particular that are quite expressive about it. They want to put a dead end road here. They want to do a lot of other things. Right. And I think that truly, again, come together, find out an option that would be best suited for all people. You can't say nobody comes in here. It's a school. You got to go drop your kids off. If you didn't know you were moving in across the street from a school and you didn't realize that there was going to be traffic there, I don't think that that's the school's fault.
thank you so much. Saga, let me ask you, so a question that came in online says St. Pete is considering a measure to allow duplexes and triplexes in all neighborhoods to increase the supply of housing. Would you support a change like that in Lakeland?
Like what?
Yes.
To allow duplexes and triplexes in all neighborhoods.
Mhm.
No, I don't think that would be good, simply for a parking. If you're in a smaller neighborhood where it's been single family homes, and all of a sudden you have duplexes and triplexes, it's gonna cause a problem with parking, it's gonna cause a problem with traffic flow, it's gonna cause other problems. And again, this is where I'm saying, those neighborhoods, those established neighborhoods, have meetings with those people that are living there and look at all the information, how it's going to affect. I know we have a property that if you wanted to build, you couldn't build a duplex there. It has to be either 4 or 1. It's just very odd, the zoning laws. But I do know that there are elderly people that live around Lake Parker that are very, very concerned about these new laws and zoning going into effect, because if they have a lot of younger people, a lot of the lower income, and have just crammed a whole bunch of people in there, they're very concerned of what's going to happen with their neighborhood, with traffic and everything else. And I think it's a very valid concern for the generations that have been living in those neighborhoods.
Thank you so much. Mayor Mutz?
Yeah, I would agree with Saga. I think that when we look at concurrency in neighborhoods, it's very, very important that we keep the kinds of neighborhoods the way those have been zoned and blended. And I am really super enthusiastic about the deliberateness of our community development department in that regard. That's something they're very, very conscious of.
Mayor Metz, the next question is we're going to start with you. What do you plan on doing for the LGBTQ people, especially LGBTQ youth?
Well, nothing differently than we have already done, which is it's our responsibility as a nonpartisan entity, governance entity, to make sure we represent the legal options for people. And part of that is that people aren't discriminated against, and that, you know, they're not maligned in some ways. And I think our commission has done a good job of engaging broadly citizens across this community, and that would include certainly LGBTQ community, and making certain that we preserve their options and the things that are important to them. There isn't anything that I am aware of that we do negatively in that regard, but I think we want to make youth, all of our youth, have wonderful options and healthy options across the city.
Thank you so much, Saga.
Again, I believe in equal opportunity for everybody. I think there's enough division in this society right now. I don't think we need to keep separating people, separate this group, separate this group, separate this group. Again, they're all youth. They're all Lakelanders. Let's treat them that way. We have our God-given inalienable rights that says we are all created equal. We are all created equal in that we're all humans. We're all human beings. Everybody has that in common. We are all Lakelanders. I don't think that we need to separate out. I think that we need to honor each person. In the youth, there's so much problems now with bullying, with depression, with anxiety, with a lot of different things. And I think the more we focus on that, the less we bring people together. And I would really like to, again, focus on together, equality, and go from there. Have that be the model for that we are all Lakelanders, we are all people, everybody has their perspectives, everybody has their things they like. Some people like basketball, some people like chess. It doesn't mean one is better than the other.
Thank you so much. And the final question for tonight. Do you have plans for other political offices? Saga, I am going to start with you.
Right now, no.
And then Mayor Mutz?
Absolutely, no.
Absolutely. That sounded very good. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been wonderful tonight. I thank you so very much for being patient as we work through some of the difficulties we were having. Thank you for being attentive, and Saga and Mayor Mutz, thank you so very much for attending to the questions. Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you again for coming. Thank you for your patience with the technical difficulties we experienced tonight. I know some people are watching on a Facebook live stream, and we have a couple of recordings going. We'll pick the best one and put it on our website and our social media either later tonight or tomorrow morning. So we will do that. We'll also come up with a good procedure for tomorrow when we are hosting the 4 city commission candidates. Again, right here at 6 o'clock, we'll be streaming them on both Facebook and YouTube. I want to remind you that Election Day is November 2nd. Deadline to request vote by mail ballots is October 25th. Early voting takes place October 25th to November 1st at the Polk Government Operations Center at 930 East Parker Avenue. There's also a couple of other locations in Bartow, and I think the other one might be in Winter Haven. Actually, I made a mistake. The deadline to request vote by mail ballots is October 23rd, not the 25th. I want to remind you that LkldNow is a nonprofit organization. All our content is free, but we ask for donations for those who appreciate what we do. One favor, though, if you do plan to hold off to donate, please hold off until November 1st. The reason I ask that is we're part of the national effort called Newsmatch, and during the months of November and December, any donations we get up to $1,000 are matched 100% by a number of national foundations that support the Institute for Nonprofit News that we're a member of. Plus, we have some local individuals, very generous individuals, who are also providing local matches. So that's November and December. One other thing I want to announce, I don't think we've announced this publicly yet, we have a News Aid 3 benefit concert. It's going to be part of our News Match effort. It's going to be a concert for different bands playing at the Yard on Mass, Friday, November 12th, 6 to 10 p.m., and we hope to see you there. Again, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.